And you might be wondering, hey, what's the time of game in this postseason? This is still year one of the pitch timer. We've gotten so used to it that, hey, games are moving. How are they moving now? There's more commercial time in the postseason. But look at the difference. Postseason last year was 3 hours and 23 minutes. We have chopped off 21 minutes off every postseason game. It's 3:02. So actually a postseason game now is like a regular season game last year, which I find acceptable. Now, here's the other part that you're not getting, is that most of these games are manageable. Take a look at these 9-inning slogs, these grueling endeavors between clubs over the last couple of years. These are all 9-inning games, right? Wild card game, Dodgers, you've got wild card game with the Mets, and that was the Mets and the Padres, 4:15, 4 hours, 13 minutes. 4 hours. They just, and look, I blame us. It is analytics, it's processing, it's information, it's the war of attrition. But, Uncle, 4 hours, please.
This is so much better for the product of the game, for the fan that's watching the game, whether you're in the ballpark or at home. And when you start to look at the games, it's just more exciting. Because the ball is being put in play quicker, the pitcher's getting the ball, it's going. That's why athleticism is so important in our game today.
Also, now you see when pitchers, when the kind of momentum swing is, there's no, let me slow this down. No, play, let's go. How has that changed?
You're going to come in and make your pitches. Now, they have, over the course of time, the catchers have been very smart with the pitchers slowing the ball out just to give themselves a little time, give them a breather. Catcher
be judicious coming out and using your time. We've seen batters like, hey, I get one, now is the time, right?
And they're intelligent about doing that, but it does continue to move the game along. It's about entertaining, and it's about staying, present into the game. And I think for the fans and the players, I think this is just more quality of game. If I'm playing defense, I know that I want that pitcher to get on the mound and fire so I'm ready to make my play and move the game along.
We almost take it for granted. Again, it's year one, but already the viewing experience is far superior. The game is just moving. Now, as far as stolen bases, I'm still amazed in the two disengagement era that teams aren't running wild. Here are the stolen bases during the regular season, 1.8. Now, that's the highest ever, right? The attempts of the stolen base percentage is the most ever, 80%. So in postseason play, they're stealing at a clip of almost 85%. But the attempts are down, Bo. Like, why won't you try more to exploit these rules?
Well, when you start to look at the stolen base, this is what happens in the postseason. During the regular season, you're talking about a long season. Pitchers are going to be who they are and what they are. They're going to, whatever time they have to the plate is going to pretty much be the same. But when you get into the postseason and that 90 feet becomes that much more important, and I'll use Aaron Nola as an example. During the regular season, he gave up 21 stolen bases. He was around 139 to the plate consistently, but then he got into the postseason. And you're going to start to see slot steps, and you're going to start to see him quicken up his delivery because he now realized just how valuable that stolen base is going to be. So I think during the postseason, players make an adjustment and realize I got to do a better job of holding this run.
And I think the other part of this is you're so scouted, so well scouted by the advanced scouts that they know each players' quirks, when they run, and the manager's quirks. Do they run with 2 strikes? Do they run early? And so all of that scouting process, that's all kind of broken down as well. I think that's part of the reason why teams are a little bit more reluctant to make outs on the bases.
Yeah, I know, but it's an 80% clip. It's an 85% clip now. You were just doing the Phillies series. You do some Philadelphia TV as well. What did you see? Because early on, Philadelphia was aggressive on the bases. And the Diamondbacks early in that series were dormant, and then they got hyper-aggressive. Why was that?
So a couple of things happened. Early in the series, obviously, the Phillies were getting out front. I mean, they were pounding the baseball. I thought that Torrey would be a little bit more aggressive on the bases when he had the opportunity, although they weren't getting on the base all that much. Later on in the series, when they got a lead, they were getting very aggressive and obviously changed their whole outlook on the series. And I think that was a major part of it. I think everybody in the world knew that the Arizona Diamondbacks were going to be super aggressive. Well, when they weren't early and they struggled, they said, you know what? We got nothing to lose now. After being down 2-0, they just started running wild and said, hey, we're going to take some more chances.
I think Game 7, when Corbin Carroll got on to lead off the game and they put him in motion, Moreno go base hit, and now it's 1st and 3rd. To me, it was actually the biggest play to start that game.
It's interesting, right?
Because they now was able to get on the board, they get contact, He was able to beat the pivot throw to first base, but they went up 1-0. I think they set the tone that we're not going to sit back tonight. You're going to have to play fast.
You just made me think of all these stories from the 1964 World Series, right?
I wasn't born yet.
Lou Brock, well, I'm a baby, but Lou Brock versus the Yankees. And the Yankees were the slugging outfit. Lou Brock gets on first. I think he singled, stole second, ground ball, sac fly, scores. And immediately everyone said, this is a different series. Because remember, there's not a ton of running up until the and then suddenly early 60s, then Lou Brock changed the game. This was the same thing. It's like, no, we're running. It's a different game now.
Corbin Carroll took over that game.
Yeah.
He took over that game on the basis.
And to speak your language, I mean, what is the percentage of the teams that score first that win a baseball game in the playoffs? It's pretty darn high. And
right.
So
you put pressure. Pressure's
on
real.
Early, and
You're right.
You get an early lead, there's a lot of things that'll change the game.
Right. Also, things that have changed in the game in the postseason. Again, some of the numbers are different. The run scoring goes down. Obviously, you have the best pitchers. Take a look at this. Runs per game of 4.5 to 4. That's significant. Stolen bases per game stay about the same. Home runs about the same. Strikeout percentage goes up. So is that also scouting, or are we just talking there's superior pitching in the postseason?
I think it's both. I think it's superior pitching because you take the middle relievers, the guys that actually pitch in middle relief, they don't really pitch that much in the postseason because every in and every out is just so valuable, and you're going to go with your high leverage guys. I think also on the scouting end of it, in the postseason, pitchers are attacking your weakness from pitch number one because they're saying, I want to get this person out, and I want to get them out as quickly as possible.
Right.
And there's also an anxiety, I think, that when you're playing in the playoffs, that pitchers who have good stuff, they don't necessarily have to throw strikes. I mean, if you looked at Ginkel and saw what he did and how he dominated, it's breaking pitches out of the zone. And they got chase and more chase. And I think it's part of it is just, hey, we know that this team's going to be over-aggressive, and we're just going to throw the ball out of the zone and let them chase until they're done. And that's exactly what happened.
You thought that happened in the Phillies series earlier. So they did not wait the Arizona staff out to come into the zone at that point. It's plate discipline.
They did not pass the baton. One of the things that they did very well is sort of pass the baton, let the guy, let the one guy get a walk and then build that inning that way. They did not let that happen, and I think the anxiety of being behind made that happen for the Phillies.
In that game, in Game 7, it did suddenly. I'm just watching on TV, and I'm thinking these innings are going faster. Like the Phillies, offensive innings seem to be going quicker these days.
I tell you, I think the Phillies looked up and they realized, like, hold up, we're running out of outs here. And I think to Ruben's point, that's when your aggression starts to take over, and instead of you being able to control your heartbeat and slow down, they sped up with the game.
I have a competitive advantage question, though. Wouldn't you have your guys dancing off first, saying, throw here, throw here? That's your first one. You only get one more. And then it's your second one. I'm going on the next one. Doesn't somebody want to say, no, I'm going to force this issue now?
Especially off of a left-hander. We call it a one-way lead. You get a lefty on the mound, especially with the two disengagements. I'm taking a one-way lead. I'm going to make him throw over early, and he may throw over a second time, and now it's complete advantage base runner.